On Las Vegas's busiest street, there was a man people fled in fear. With his dirty clothes, disheveled hair, and tired face, everyone thought he was dangerous. But no one knew what he did every night. And that night, as he saved a family's life, everyone's perception of him would change forever. Marcus Thompson was 45 years old and had made the bus stop on Fremont Street in Las Vegas his home. With his thick beard, strong hands protruding from under his worn military jacket, and the old bag he always carried over his shoulder, most people would turn their backs at the sight of him. Tourists, in particular, would keep their distance, even when taking photos. But Marcus's story was far more complex than it seemed. 15 years ago, he was one of the Las Vegas Metro Police's most successful detectives. Busting drug rings and placing street kids in safe houses were his specialty. He and his wife, Sarah, lived happily in their small home until that fateful night's operation. Everything had gone wrong in the operation to catch the gang's leader. Marcus's partner, Danny, had been shot, and 3 innocent civilians had been killed during the operation. Marcus blamed himself. He began having nightmares every night. He had been diagnosed with PTSD, but he refused treatment. Sarah tried to help him. She begged him to see a doctor, but the pain inside Marcus had gone so deep that he no longer wanted to touch anyone. One morning, when Sarah woke up and found the divorce papers, Marcus had already left the house. "I'm leaving to protect you," the note read. "Someone this dark isn't worthy of you." From then on, Marcus was on the street. But he wasn't just any homeless person. Every night after 11 p.m., Marcus would grab sandwiches and water bottles from his old bag and head to the most dangerous areas of Las Vegas. He would search for street kids living among the abandoned buildings in East Las Vegas. Tommy was only 14 years old and had started living on the streets after his mother died of drug addiction. When Marcus first found him, the boy was nearly starved. "Hey, kid," Marcus said that night. "Are you hungry?" Tommy backed away in fear. "Who are you? Are you from the police or something?" Marcus smiled. "No, just someone who wants to help." From that day on, Marcus began bringing Tommy food regularly. Not just to him, but to the other kids living on the streets as well. Maria was only 16 years old and her parents had kicked her out. Jake was 15 and had run away from his foster home. Marcus didn't just bring them food. He also protected them from drug dealers. The streets of Las Vegas became a wild place at night. Gangs forced street kids to sell drugs. Marcus would watch from the shadows, intervening in times of danger. His old police training allowed him to move silently and defend himself when necessary. But no one saw this. They only saw the dirty man who sat at the bus stop during the day. Mrs. Henderson saw Marcus every morning on her way to work. The 55-year-old accountant always looked at him with suspicion. "I don't like this guy at all," she'd tell her husband. "He seems dangerous to children." Or the young couple, David and Emma. They were both college students, and whenever they saw Marcus, they'd always change their ways. "Why does the city allow people like this?" they'd complain. Marcus noticed all the stares and whispers, but he no longer cared. He knew his real mission began at night. That evening, he was preparing as usual. He had packed his bag with sandwiches, water bottles, and first aid supplies. He hadn't seen Tommy in 3 days, and he was worried. At 11:30, he left Fremont Street and began walking toward East Las Vegas. The abandoned factories in the old industrial zone were refuges for street children. His first stop was the old auto factory. He hoped he'd find Maria there, but the building was empty. There was a strange silence. Normally, there would be at least a few children, but no one was there tonight. A bad feeling began to rise in Marcus's gut. His second stop was the old textile factory. As he approached, he heard distant voices, shouting, and then crying. Marcus approached quietly. He peered through the broken window of the factory, and what he saw chilled his blood. 3 men had cornered Tommy, Maria, and Jake. They had guns. Marcus knew them. They were members of the Rodriguez gang. "I'm asking you one last time," the oldest of them was saying. "This area is ours now. Either you work for us or—" Tommy was crying. "Please, we're just looking for shelter." "Shelter?" The man laughed cruelly. "Then you'll sell drugs for us, or you'll leave this building." Marcus's heart began to race. His old PTSD symptoms were returning. His hands were shaking. But when he saw the helpless state of the children, all his fears faded away. At that moment, more noises came from the back door of his factory. Marcus turned and was shocked. A young couple, David and Emma, were approaching the building with flashlights. "I heard noises coming from here," David was saying. "Maybe someone needs help." Marcus realized with panic that they were both in danger. The gang members had spotted them too. "Boss," one of them said, "there's 2 more people outside." The gang leader cursed. "Bring them in too. There's been too many witnesses tonight." Marcus's time was running out. On one side, the street children were in danger, on the other, the innocent young couple. And he was alone, 3 against 3. But then, memories of that terrible night 15 years ago flashed before his eyes. The innocence he couldn't protect that night. The lives he couldn't save that night. "Not this time," he muttered. "No one will die this time." Marcus moved silently toward the back door. David and Emma were about to enter the building. "Wait," he whispered. The couple turned, shocked. The flashlight flickered in Emma's hand when they saw the scruffy, unkempt man. You were following us?" David stammered. "Listen to me," Marcus said urgently. "There are armed men inside. Call the police. I'm going in." "What?" Emma's voice was silent. Are you police?" Marcus didn't even look at them. He pulled his old rosette from his bag. He'd carried it for years but hadn't dared to use it. Inside, the gang leader was shouting, "Find these kids!" Marcus took a deep breath. For the first time in 15 years, he awakened the ex-cop within him. He entered through this back door. He moved silently. The first gang member was standing next to Tommy. Marcus approached from behind and silently neutralized him. But the second gang member spotted him. "Boss, someone's behind you." The gang leader turned and saw Marcus. The dirty-clothed, homeless-looking man was pointing a gun at him. "Who the hell are you?" he shouted. "Las Vegas Metro Police retired Detective Marcus Thompson," Marcus said. His voice was stronger than before. "Drop your weapon." The gang leader laughed. "You cop? You look like a homeless bum." But there was something about Marcus's stance, the determination in his eyes. The gang leader knew he wasn't joking. "Guys, come at me," Marcus said. Slowly. Tommy, Maria, and Jake started toward Marcus in surprise. This dirty, homeless man, whom they had thought was protecting them, was the one who was pointing his gun at Marcus. At that moment, the gang leader pointed his gun at Marcus. But Marcus was more experienced than he had been 15 years ago. He moved very quickly. He knocked the gun out of the gang leader's hand. Police sirens could be heard outside. David and Emma had called the police. The gang members tried to escape, but Marcus stopped them one by one. The agility gained from years of street life, combined with his old police training, was enough to stop them. When the police entered, Marcus found the gang members lying on the ground. "Who is this man?" asked the arriving police officer. "Your former colleague," Marcus said. He showed his badge. "Detective Marcus Thompson." The young officer was surprised. He had heard Marcus's name. He was one of the legendary detectives. "But you live on the streets, don't you?" Marcus looked at the children. They were still staring at him with fear. But now, instead of fear, there was gratitude in their eyes. "It's a long story," Marcus said. That night, when they went to the station, everything came out. It turned out that Marcus had been living on the streets for 15 years, but he protected street children every night. "Why didn't you come back?" asked his former superior, Captain Rodriguez, now chief of police. Marcus didn't answer for a long time. Then he looked at Tommy. The boy was still sitting off to the side, wrapped in a blanket. "Because this is my place," he said. "These kids need me." But Captain Rodriguez shook his head. "Marcus, you also need this city. And if you really want to protect those kids, you can do it by getting back into the system, not by living on the streets." David and Emma were also at the station, giving their statements. When they saw Marcus, they approached. "We're sorry," Emma said. We misunderstood you." David bowed his head. "We saw you every day and we thought the worst of you, but you were actually protecting us all." Marcus looked at them. "I was just trying to do the right thing." "But why?" Emma asked. "Why didn't you want anyone to know?" Marcus's eyes grew wet. "Because 15 years ago, I couldn't protect the innocent. This time, I had to protect them." That night, the news rocked Las Vegas. "The hidden hero who appears homeless" headlines ran in the newspapers. As Marcus's story spread, the city's perspective began to change. Mrs. Henderson found him and apologized. "We've all wronged you," she said, "and yet you were risking your lives for our safety." Other people on Fremont Street began coming to Marcus, thanking him, apologizing. But the most significant change came for Tommy, Maria, and Jake. Marcus gave them more than just food. He gave them a fresh start. Working with social services, all three were placed in safe houses. "You're my lifesaver," Tommy told Marcus. "I want to be just like you when I grow up." Marcus smiled. "Then work hard and never give up." Captain Rodriguez offered Marcus a return. "We're planning to start a street children's unit. You can take over." Marcus thought for a long time. Then he looked at Tommy, at the other kids. It felt good to see them safe. "I agree," he said, "but on one condition. We won't forget these kids. We'll integrate them into the system." "Of course," Captain Rodriguez said. That night, Marcus returned to the bus stop, but this time with a different purpose. He packed his things. He wouldn't live on the streets anymore, but he would continue to protect them. As he picked up his bag, an old photo fell out. It was his wedding photo with Sarah. Marcus studied it for a long time. Perhaps it was time to confront the past. The next morning, he knocked on Sarah's door. When the door opened, tears welled in Sarah's eyes. "Marcus?" "Hello, Sarah," he said. "I miss you." Sarah looked at him in surprise. He was wearing clean clothes and had a haircut, but most of all, she noticed the old light returning to his eyes. Are you okay?" Marcus smiled. "I'm slowly getting better, and I have so much to tell you." In the final chapter of the story, Marcus was in charge of the Las Vegas Metro Police's new street child unit. Tommy graduated at the top of his class and entered the police academy. Maria began studying nursing, and Jake wanted to become a social worker. The streets of Las Vegas were still dangerous, but now there were children who knew no one was alone. Thanks to the system Marcus established, street children were not only protected, but also given new opportunities. And now people knew. Sometimes the greatest heroes can emerge from the most unexpected places. Sometimes judging someone by their appearance can blind us to their true value. Marcus's story had changed all of Las Vegas. Now people looked at the homeless people on the streets differently, because they knew that each of them had a story, and sometimes those stories were even more beautiful than we imagined.